So you pull up to the gas pump and you're given 3 different options. You're going to have kind of a lower grade, usually an 85 or an 87. Then you're going to have a mid grade, which is going to be about 87 or 89, depending on which company I guess you go to. And then you're going to have a high grade or a premium, which is going to be right around 91, 93 in that zone. So which one do you choose? You've probably been told by your significant other or your parents which one to choose. Just choose, 85, or just choose an 87, or anything else is more money and not worth it, blah, 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 blah. Or just get an 85 because it's the cheapest and it works. Well, which one do you choose? And is it really that important? Is there really that big of a difference between either one of them? And there can be. That's where it gets really tricky. Basically, what that rating is going to be is that rating is going to tell you how stable that fuel is in adverse conditions. And one of those adverse conditions would be inside of your engine. It's so bright in my eyes. It's going to be how much pressure you have in your engine. And by in your engine, I mean in the cylinder where the piston is going up and down. You're going to have a point where that piston is going to be going up to squeeze that air and fuel mixture, and then your spark plug is going to blow it up, and that's going to cause it. That's how you actually get power. We'll do a video on that later, but this is not about that. This is going to be basically, if you have a situation where your engine is going to have a turbo on it, or if your engine is going to be a very high compression engine, meaning there's going to be a whole lot of heat, a whole lot of pressure going on before that spark plug even blows up your gas, your air fuel mixture, then you're going to want to get a higher octane number. So like a 91, like a 93. And that is going to be the best for your engine because you want the most stable option in that high stress situation. If you have a turbo, or if your engine is high compression, and if you run the lower grade of gas, the 85 or the 87, then there is a possibility, a higher possibility, that air and fuel mixture is going to explode before it needs to in your engine. And if that happens, then you're going to have quite the situation developing. They call that ping. Your engine is pinging. And that's going to be real bad because your engine is trying to then push that piston up to right where it needs to go, and then for it to explode and then go down. Whereas it's going to be going up, it might go up, 3/4, 5/6, all the way up, and then explode, and your piston can't then go down because it's being told to go up. So basically, your gas is exploding before it needs to, and that is a fantastic way to ruin your engine, and that's going to be very, very, very expensive. That'll be a whole engine rebuild if you do eventually ping your engine to death. Not good. Not good stuff. So how do you know? How do you know which fuel your car requires? Well, it's going to be in your manual, and I'll put a little picture up here of my manual. What my manual says, I believe it says 87. I'll have to look at it and double check, but I think mine says 87. I put 87 in my car. Sometimes I put 85, and it doesn't really do that terribly, mainly because it doesn't have a turbo. If my car had a turbo, and if it said 91, and I put lower gas in it, what's going to happen? Like we just said, it's going to ping itself to death, and that is going to be very expensive. So it's worth the extra, $6 to then get the actual corrected gas you need for your car to help prevent a $3,000 mistake of having to buy a new engine. It'll probably be more than that. That's just a random number. But it's going to be very expensive to get a brand new engine. So basically it comes down to read your manual. It's not a very sexy option, but it's exactly what your car wants. And if you are under warranty, if you have a newer car and you're under warranty and something happens to your engine blows up, let's say you needed 91 or you needed 93 octane and you're putting 85 in it the whole time and then your engine blows up, I could see how the dealership would be like, well, you didn't listen to the manual, so you're going to have to pay for this new engine. Because it said in the manual, sometimes it even says in your little fuel door, your little fuel flap, when you open that guy up, sometimes it will say on there, requires 87, requires 91. It'll tell you to make things a lot easier for you. I've had 2 cars that have had that on there, and it makes it nice. But once again, they weren't turbo, so I think I was putting 85 in an 87 required engine, and it was fine. Not a problem. So that's kind of the general breakdown of what it's going to be. Low grade, mid grade, supreme. Just depends on what your engine specifically wants. If you put something in there, if you put 91 into an engine that requires 85 or 87, you're not going to get a huge, horsepower boost. You're not going to be burning tires left and right because of all that extra power given to you. It's not going to improve really a whole lot because your engine isn't made for it. However, if you have a newer car, I'm talking new, and your computer in your car can actually read the fuel through Magic. And basically what it's going to say is it's going to say, hey, this is 87 octane. I wanted 91. I will adjust myself a little bit to accommodate for that difference. And then inversely, they have some other ones. I know Mazda does it. I know that one of the Hellcats do it from Dodge, where if you put in a higher octane, it'll actually give you more power because it can use that to its full potential. It can then use that higher compression. It can then use, all of its boost through its turbo or through its supercharger. In that case, for the Dodge, it'll be a supercharger. Turbo for the Mazda. But then your computer can say, okay, let's do it. Let's get going. And I think, I'll have to look it up and see, but if I remember correctly, the Dodge, you can get over 100 horsepower increase by adding in a very high octane. Very high, I'm talking like high 90s, low hundreds. If you can find that kind of gas and put it in your Hellcat, it will enjoy it. It'll make the best out of it. And I know that on some of the comparison drag race videos I've seen with the Mazda being involved, it's also a substantial increase in horsepower if you give it that higher end, higher octane fuel. But once again, the least sexy option, it will tell you in your manual. So read your manual. It'll tell you what it can do, what it can't do, and that will help solve most of your questions. But once again, it'll help cover your butt, a little bit of a CYA, to make sure that if something does happen, you can tell the dealership, hey, I did it according to the book. We're good to go. Otherwise, they would love to say no to fix your engine. And I know a few service managers, and I know a few people who have worked in the dealership, in the car industry. I've worked at a dealership, and I know the people who would say, no, sorry, because then they save money. Basically, read your manual. It'll tell you. 87 is usually safe, unless you have a turbo. Basically, check it out and make sure. Thanks.